Yo, we are back here. It's a Wednesday morning, and we have our second ever guest here in the lounge.
Hey.
We got Flannel Sam, as he's commonly known on the Woodward Sports Network across the morning Wake Up Woodward and the various other platforms. Sam Reynolds is his legal name. We got Sam. You just got back from a trip just over a week ago in Ireland.
Yes.
And I would love to hear a little bit more about that. But before we do dive into your trip, why don't we introduce you a little bit more to the audience for people who might not be familiar with you. Like we said, you're from Illinois, right?
I am from Illinois.
Is it Springfield?
Springfield, Illinois, yeah.
Awesome. And then you're a graduate of Western Illinois University.
Western Illinois University.
Awesome. What year did you graduate?
I graduated college in 2018. I was a little late in life.
Hey.
It was a very non-linear path. And oh, by the way, that college degree that I have, not even using it. Came to Detroit and went to Specs Howard. That's how I'm here. I went to school for teaching, and that didn't quite work out.
Hey, well, you never know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of life ahead of you still.
Yeah,
You could end up falling back into that. Maybe you end up teaching some of what you learned at Specs Howard to some future generations. But when did you end up at Specs Howard?
I ended up there in 2019.
Okay.
That was like pretty shortly after I got here. Because I'm not going to lie, when I first moved to this area, and I moved to this area because I actually have had family ties in Michigan my whole life. My mom had moved to Detroit or the metro area because she got a job teaching at Macomb Community College. There were way more opportunities up here. But when I first got here, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of floundering. You know, a lot of dead end jobs, not really knowing what I wanted to do, but discovered Specs Howard, went there. Was really the first time in my schooling life where I don't want to say I thrived, but I would say throughout my high school, college life, I was a little bit of an underachiever, a little bit lazy at times. But once I found something that I liked, I really kind of dove into that. And, you know, had a radio job before here, still have that on the side. Got to Woodward Sports through a little bit of networking. I guess they'd say the rest is history.
Nice. And you've been with Woodward for about 3 or 4 years now?
December of 2021 was when I started. So it'd be, about
Coming
3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So, oh yeah. And then like when you went to Ireland, that was kind of like your like first real like vacation more or less you've taken from the network here. And then did you say that was your first time out of the country?
I mean, I've had other, like last year I did a East Coast, like kind of a New England summer, but like on this scale, first time out of the country.
Yeah.
First time I've ever been outside the United States was this last trip to Ireland. I haven't even been to Canada yet. You know, getting to Detroit late in life, I didn't even know for many years that Windsor was this close.
Yeah, it's the only point in the border where Canada actually lies south of the United States. You have to travel south to reach into Canada.
That's a great fact, by the way.
Yeah,
it's
funny.
a fantastic factoid.
But I myself, living as close to as I have to the border my whole life, I've never been to Canada myself. I've never been out of the country either. So that's something we share in common, at least crossing the border to our friendly neighbors. But how was the trip to Ireland? You said that you found was it like a travel package more or less?
Yes, through the airline Aer Lingus is what it was. It was you basically choose an activity package. They give a list of things that you basically are included as a part of it. They give you your hotels, they give you a rental car, they give you a plane ticket. And it was actually relatively cheap. A lot of the hotels, just as like a side note before we really dive into it, because it's not the most important, they're the type of hotels that I never thought I'd be able to stay in. But because they're a part of a package, it's like you got incredible value.
Okay.
Because, usually when you go on these trips, at least when I have in the past, like New England, for example, this past year, had to bargain bin shop on some Airbnbs that weren't the best. I'll just say that. Wasn't the case in Ireland, so I'm definitely thankful for that.
Oh, that's what's up. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I've heard really cool things, and I've heard that even like the hostels over there, which like I feel like for us, it's kind of like I don't know if I'd want to stay in something like that. I hear like they're way more friendly and communal, and overall it kind of like warms me up in the idea of traveling in Europe. And then hearing that there's like all these cool packages available, that kind of seems like it helps mitigate some of those costs and worries. But what were some of your expectations before you hopped on the flight?
My expectation was, what my honest expectation was? It seemed like such a daunting thing going overseas. Like it was going to be this, mystical place. It was actually relatively normal seeming. It's like, you go into Dublin and it's a really nice city, but it's a big city. Obviously it's great being there, but it's like, it felt relatively normal. A lot like, they've got, this is going to sound silly, but they've got like, grocery stores and gas stations and restaurants. Yeah. And I understand that sounds a little silly, but it's like, I've never been out of the country.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. It's like, oh wow, like these people are just like us.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You don't think about that.
No, you don't. But obviously it's a lot more special than that. I mean, there is so much that I did that I'm never going to forget. And before we really, one backstory that I want to give is the reason Ireland was the choice. And I think you already know this, but for the audience, they don't. My wife studied abroad in Ireland when she was in college.
Yeah, didn't you say you got to meet with her host family?
Yes. That was a fun experience. Just like great people, mom, dad, 3 kids. The 3 kids are all grown up now, and one of the things that I really liked is we had dinner together and everything. But that night, and I'm not a big like English football fan, or as we call it, soccer fan, but the dad and one of the kids, he's like 21 years old, big sports fan. I think he actually plays a little soccer like at some level.
Yeah.
The Manchester United game was on, and they, being in Ireland, there's not really like much to root for. They like Manchester United.
Okay.
And in that game, I got to watch it with them, and in the second half, 4-goal barrage.
Damn.
They were playing like Atletico. It was in like the European Cup or something.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun though. That was a good experience because they were super into it. And there's nothing more wholesome than like a father and a son watching a game together.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I remember Chris from the sales team, like from back like last year.
Yeah.
He talked to me about like his love of soccer and his travels over to Europe to friends in England. And they I think Crystal Palace was their team, but he'd talk about how like fun it is and like how just swept up they get over there. So
yeah, no, but yeah, that was great. Just a couple experiences that really stood out to me. The cities of Kilkenny and Galway, they were my favorite. I actually preferred them more than Dublin because like Kilkenny is kind of a medieval looking city, and there's a thing that we did. It was called the Kilkenny Castle. Just this medieval looking, beautiful castle. A lot of cool stuff. The grounds around it were great. Because the stereotype about Ireland is it's so green and so beautiful, and that's absolutely fact.
Yeah,
it's just awesome. And Kilkenny as the city, great, very walkable, just very friendly people, just a really good experience. Galway was great as well. We did a walking tour of the city with a tour guide. It had a lot of history, but also the tour guide she also let us know about some of the cool places to visit, like cool places to go for like even a drink or to eat or just modern things. It was a very like good mix of history with like, this is what you're going to want to do in Galway before you leave. And those were 2 cities that really stood out to me. Just very walkable. In Galway, there was an area where it's just pedestrians walking, which is pretty cool. No vehicles allowed. Those were what really stood out to me.
What side of the road do they drive on?
They drive on the, not the one that we do.
So they drive on the left side of the road. They have the left of way,
yes,
not the right of way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Had to do all the driving in that trip too. So I got to experience that as well.
Was the orientation of the vehicle also flipped? Was like the driver's seat and the traditional passenger seat?
Yes. It was, I was driving on the right side.
Oh, I've heard that they like basically like mirror with the gas pedal on the left and the brake on the right, or was that just pretty much just slid over?
That was that was what we are. It was same feet, but like obviously for shifting gears, it was left hand.
Okay.
That was a little bit weird, but like the gas pedal was right foot the
right side.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah.
I was always curious about that.
Yeah.
I've talked about that with my dad. He said that they pretty much like everything is inversed, so you have to like go the opposite foot. It
wasn't as bad because the funny thing is in the original package that we got, the vehicle that we were going to be assigned to, me and my wife, was a stick shift.
Oh.
But we paid a little extra to be like, no, let's just like, I can drive a stick in America, not super well, but my first experience driving on the other side of the road, that could have been a disaster.
Yeah.
That's like a disaster waiting to happen. So it's like, let's just do automatic. And even automatic at the beginning was hard. My first experience with that was driving in Dublin. And that was kind of difficult because it's a big city.
Yeah.
But you got used to it, though. It wasn't that bad.
That sounds interesting. Did you like coming back here and like hopping in your car? Like, do you kind of miss it? Do you kind of wish you could like hop in the other side? Oh, like not of the road, but the other side of the car. Do you like sit in the passenger seat driving?
No.
No.
No. I came back and I was very relieved.
Yeah.
It was very relaxing to get back to what I was used to. I didn't forget anything. That's what I was a little worried about too. It was just, but it was much more driving on the wrong side of the road, by our standards, the wrong side. It never got too comfortable.
No.
There was always some moments where it was like, gotta lock in. Can't be having too many conversations. Can't be blasting music. Gotta lock in a little bit.
Would you think you'd like try to like correct yourself and go to the other side, like just out of like instinct almost?
No. There was also the way some of the roads were constructed, like kind of the country roads. They were very narrow.
Okay.
So you had to mind your P's and Q's. Let's just say,
because there wasn't a lot of like.
Yeah, because sometimes when a car would pass you on the other side, you had to slow down and kind of pull off almost into the grass.
I got like when you're going down a residential house and someone's like walking their dog and two cars like kind of slow down to
give
more space.
Kind of the same idea. Yeah,
I gotcha.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So Kilkenny, Dublin, Galway.
Yeah.
What were some other cities you visited?
Belfast.
And that's
Northern Ireland. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's technically a different country, and it's part of the United Kingdom, separate from Ireland.
They use different currency instead of euros. They use like pounds and whatnot, just like the rest of the UK. Also, believe it or not, I didn't know this. The road signs and everything changed from kilometers to miles the second that we got into Northern Ireland. I didn't even know that.
Really?
That was going to happen. But yeah, all of a sudden, it's like, wow, the speed limit seems awful slow if it's kilometers. It's like, no, because it's miles. And that was interesting. And Belfast was just a very, very fascinating city.
Yeah,
I'll just say that.
I imagine so. I mean, there's a lot of history there, just with like a lot of like the conflict in Ireland.
Yes.
You said that there's still the walls up in the city?
Yes. And for people who don't know, and I'm not as well versed on the history to like give like a lesson about it, but they are still and have been a religiously divided country. There's the Protestants and there's the Irish Catholics, and they had many conflicts not even that long ago, like some of them as recently as like the 80s and 90s. Like the hunger strike, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about that, with like the IRA political prisoners trying to like get some of their rights back, and unfortunately a lot of them died, most famously Bobby Sands. The Protestants on one side, they're basically like British loyalists. You go to that side of the country, it's just Union Jacks everywhere. You go to the Catholic side, and it's just a lot of memorials to, the strike. There were other conflicts, like even bombings in certain neighborhoods. It's just, it's wild. And it wasn't even that long ago.
Do you see a lot of the Gaelic cross in Ireland?
Yeah.
But like, then not so much in Northern Ireland? Or
it's definitely not in the Protestant side of Northern Ireland. But yeah, the wall, as you were talking about, there is a wall that divides the city. And for the most part, and this is Belfast, and for the most part, they leave it open. It's basically an open wall from 6:30 in the morning to 8:30 at night. At 8:30 at night, the wall closes. And I'm not saying you can't get to either side, but it's like one way in, one way out. It's not like an open border, so to speak.
Yeah, they make it a little bit tougher.
And according to some of the locals that we met, Protestants and Catholics still just kind of keep to like their own kind, for lack of a better term. And it's just wild to think about.
Yeah, I mean, as you're kind of describing this, have you ever seen Gangs of New York?
I have.
That's kind of what I'm picturing in my head, but like instead of it being in New York at like the 5 points, I'm just like, oh, they're actually like back where they came from.
Yeah. No, it's gives an eerie feeling to it. I remember going to Belfast and not feeling super like happy-go-lucky. It was amazing to be there, but just a lot of history, a lot of dark history, and a lot of, even in the present, it's just it's hard for me to come to like really understand just a religious conflict like that. Of course, me being me, it's just like, hey, why can't we all just get along? It's not like you guys are that diametrically opposed, but at the same time, it's generations of a divide. Yeah. And I think that kids are just kind of born into it and, perpetuate everything. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It's just wild to me. But it was still, if you're like a history buff, Belfast is the city for you. And
Yeah.
that's to anybody out there.
I mean, it sounds really cool. I know.
Yeah.
How long was your trip for? Like, how long were you in Ireland?
It's about 9 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the flight there, roughly how long does that take?
6.5 hours.
Yeah.
Not the worst.
Did you have any fear at all when you were over the open ocean? That's like the one thing. Like, I'm not really like, we've talked about this on like Wake Up Border. I'm not really scared of heights or anything like that. The ocean, I have the most respect for.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, I know how insignificant I am compared to that water. So like, it freaks the fuck out of me.
Yeah, like I don't have the stat, but a large portion of the ocean, of all oceans, is unexplored because it's so big, it's so vast, specifically the Pacific. But so yeah, it's very humbling considering over what 70% of the Earth's surface is ocean. Unbelievable. But it's funny because I actually didn't. And I don't mean to sound morbid, but I was just kind of like, whatever happens, happens.
No, I get that.
I didn't feel any fear.
Yeah. Like when I've talked about like when I went skydiving, like that's how I felt. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna hit the ground either really hard or really soft, and
Yeah.
it's like, but like either way, I'm gonna go up and come back down. Like you just kind of know what's gonna happen.
And there have been times in my life where I think I probably would have been more fearful, but
Yeah.
I don't know, for some reason I just kind of felt at peace with the whole thing. I was never scared. It was a peaceful flight, a little turbulence here and there, but nothing really that rattled me. They had cool entertainment, not bad at all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say, well, how'd you pass the time on the flight? They said they have entertainment. Did you like have a book, a movie, some tunes?
Well, they have these like little TVs on the back of seats, and I just watched a lot of movies.
I gotcha.
Watched Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind again.
Okay.
Dropped that reference on yesterday's Wake Up
Yeah.
Woodward, and I know you understood that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, watched American Beauty. You ever see that?
I haven't. I think I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, just that's. I'm trying to catch more up on movies. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, but a lot of times doing what I do, it's become just like all sports all the time. But lately, I've been trying to dive into more movies, and so that's what I wanted to do while I was just to pass the time. Watch a couple that I'd seen before and love, but needed a bit of a refresher on.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So like, there's no sports this week. This is a hypothetical. No sports this weekend. You have no plans. The wife's like, I want a Flannel Sam movie marathon. What's your like Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday matinee? Just 3 movies you're gonna watch.
3 movies. I would say Friday I would go Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro. I don't know if you saw that one. Oh yeah, great movie.
You talking to me?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the iconic, the most famous line from that movie. Probably my favorite movie of all time.
Okay.
Saturday I would go Punch Drunk Love. That's a very underrated Adam Sandler movie.
I've not seen it, but Adam Sandler is great.
I would recommend it. It's him. He's a very underrated great actor. I think sometimes he takes roles like Jack and Jill, for example, where you're like, bro, this is beneath you.
Hot take. I think Jack and Jill is a better movie than Click.
And see, I disagree, but I think that both of them are
Bad.
He's so good. Like Punch Drunk Love, I would highly recommend that to the audience and to you as well. And it's very highly regarded amongst like film snobs. And I'm not saying I am a film snob, but like very well received critically.
Is that one of his rom-coms?
No, I wouldn't even say that it's a rom-com. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's like a romance element to it, but it's not really that funny.
Okay.
But it's really, really good. I would recommend that. That would be my Saturday. And then Sunday, I'd probably go Goodfellas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I want to put the question back on you because I'm interested. Like movie marathon.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably throw for like Sunday. My matinee would probably be The Other Guys. Just like I think I think the writing in that is so phenomenal.
It's a great movie.
Friday night. This is tough. I don't know if I want to do this Friday night or Saturday night. I'd probably go Friday night. I'm gonna go Apocalypse Now. A little bit of a darker tone. Like after like a work day, like a long work week, you just see like the napalm strike at the beginning of the movie. And it's just like you hear like the doors, like this is the end. Just like that's just how I've pictured like my week, like oof, like the end of my week. I just get to watch it all blow up in smoke, and then the psychology of that movie I think is fantastic. It's Marlon Brando, Martin Sheen, and I think like it's a Vietnam War movie, but it's really not much about the war, but about like just how these people are affected mentally, and I think Platoon, which is a Charlie Sheen movie about Vietnam, I think does a really good job of kind of like just telling that, like it's telling a similar story about the characters. But Friday or Saturday night, I got to go with Prestige, the Prestige. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Sam. It is one of the best movies ever made. Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
So you know it's already like
Yeah.
it's got the director's grace. But Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale, who's like my favorite actor of all time, and then it's got ScarJo in it, and Michael Caine as well. But it's basically about like two rival magicians, and it's so it's so good. I actually bought the movie. I like owned it. I downloaded it.
Nice.
It's on my phone, my iPod, or like my iPad, my computer. Like I can watch it whenever. So like I love that movie. I think it's just like the twists, everything in it is really well done. I've watched it like a million times. Every time I see something new and I like catch something different about it that I just enjoy. So I don't know. I really like movies. It's hard to pick on the spot, but those would probably be like three easy picks for me.
Not gonna lie, Apocalypse Now is on my list of like I've got to see soon. Like honestly, and I'm not gonna hold myself to it, but tonight. Well, I don't know about tonight, but
It's a bit of a long movie.
yeah, like soon I'm gonna definitely dive into a movie that I haven't seen. And Apocalypse Now, I'm considering it as either a movie that I haven't seen or one that I saw a while ago that I need a bit of a refresher on. Apocalypse Now is on that short list, and you would recommend it.
I recommend it.
Yeah.
I don't recommend the Redux version, which is like the 30-minute or like 45-minute longer version. I think like watching the regular version and watching the Redux, I think what they cut out is worth the cut.
Okay.
So I think if
All right.
you're really into the cinematography and all that, you can watch it. But I think they got it right with the final cut, the theatrical release. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's one of my dad's favorite movies. He showed it to me, and I just kind of like was like, wow, like I think Marlon Brando, I think is just like phenomenal. Like,
Yeah.
And like you hear stories about like the making of the movie and how like he was such a difficult person. He showed up overweight and he was barely in the movie because he was so drunk and fat and stuff. And like they shot him in such high contrast shadows, but like his performance is like you can see how far gone this man is.
That's see that intrigues me for sure. And same with The Prestige. I mean, I never saw it. Christopher Nolan's obviously a great director. I've seen a lot of his movies. Did he direct Memento?
Yes.
Okay, because I did see that.
I
Yeah.
have not seen that one.
Okay.
That's like one I haven't seen.
All right.
My first girlfriend's the one who told me about The Prestige. She loved it. We never watched it together, and then finally when she hit the road, I was like, let me throw it on. So
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I should have given it some time. I sat through Hamilton with the bitch, and I hated that. So
Hey.
yeah, and I say that jokingly.
No, of course,
like,
yeah.
We can say whatever we want here. There's like 10 of us who watch this thing. And it's like I don't think anyone's gonna give a fuck if we say like fuck shit bitch cunt like
Right.
It's a chill, relaxed, loose environment. So, but any future plans? Like obviously you just went to Ireland, so who knows how long it might be before you hop back on another plane, a train, get an automobile, and travel somewhere else. But even locally, even like staying in the United States, is there any place you've been itching to go that you want to see that you haven't been yet?
Haven't been yet. I'm not. I want to go to some baseball stadiums that I haven't been to yet.
That's
I
fine,
did
yeah.
get to Fenway last year, but I haven't been to as many as I'd like to. I've been to Wrigley. I've been to Comerica, obviously. Been to Fenway. Never been to Yankee Stadium. Never even been to like. I haven't even been to Cleveland's. I forgot what it's called
Progressive
now.
Field,
Progressive
I think.
Field,
Yeah.
and that's not that far. Never been to the White Sox. I mean, those are a couple that I'm looking at as potentially very attainable even for a day trip. But as far as a place that I want to go this summer, I've been here, but it's been a while. I want to get back to Mackinac Island.
Oh, okay,
I think
nice.
that's the coolest place, one of the coolest places on Earth. I mean, no cars,
Yeah.
horses and carriage. Are you kidding? It's kind of magical in a lot of ways.
No, that is
Yeah.
really cool. I've not been since I was a little kid, so that'd be really fun. You know it's illegal to camp on Mackinac Island,
That's not surprising.
but there
didn't-
are places you can do it. You can sneak around the island, and that's kind of like a bit of a goal of mine this summer is to illegally
Ooh.
camp on a Mackinac.
That's interesting.
So
That's very interesting because, some of the places in Mackinac, like the Grand Hotel, are not cheap.
yeah,
Not
So,
cheap. Yeah.
If you can manage it, might be a fun time. I have, like I said, a couple of my buddies who I do like fun little like summer trips with, like camping or biking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They've done it before, so like they know how it could be done. And I think there's like some like local yokels who live in the hotel and like stay up there seasonally who are around our age and kind of like if you just kind of go past this little spot, like no one's really gonna fuck with you. So
Yeah.
it's pretty chill. But Baseball stadiums. Like, where's one you want to go to? Like, let's say like we picked 3 movies. What are like 3 parks that you want to visit? If you were to go, like say, you got to go on a trip in June, July, and August. So
Okay.
3 different stadiums. You got to go see a whole Tigers series, and you could pick the
Yeah.
schedule. You don't have to go off the
Yeah.
schedule.
I would probably say Dodger Stadium. San Francisco. I forgot what it's
I
called
think
now.
it's Oracle Park now, but it was
Is it?
AT&T.
It was AT&T. Like, they keep changing the name. That's
Yeah.
definitely probably the second one. And you know what? Just because they're such, I already mentioned it before. Just because they're such a prestigious franchise, probably Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Those 3 are probably the ones that I would be most like first on my list. Like I said, I'm looking at Cleveland being super attainable. Cincinnati's not super
Yeah,
far away
Great
either.
American Ballpark.
Yeah. White Sox, not super far. Those are ones that are probably the most attainable, but as far as what I would want most, Dodger Stadium, Giants, and Yankee Stadium.
That'd be sick, especially going out there for like catching a whole series, like a whole weekend, or like a couple day games and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be a really fun time for sure. Have you been to any? Have you been to a lot of like NFL, NBA, or NHL like arena stadiums, coliseums?
Not as many as I would like.
Yeah. Who have you been to see so far?
God. Like, I've obviously Detroit. As far as NBA, honestly, I've been to the United Center in Chicago and LCA.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
I need to do more. Yeah.
I went to the Palace once, and there like
Yeah.
twice. I think I've been to LCA once.
Yeah.
So
Same with hockey. I've been to the United Center. I've been to LCA. I went to Joe Louis once, like
I was
on a
gonna ask if
visit.
you ever got to
Yeah,
go to the Joe.
I got to go there. And honestly, though, my and everybody who has watched me knows this. My main sports attendance has been Michigan Stadium because my father-in-law has season tickets. I've been to like 8 games in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
I'd like to do maybe a road game at Illinois or something, or
Okay.
Purdue. Those aren't too far.
Yeah, and you don't go to just the football games too, but you went to quite a few basketball games.
Went
too
to 6.
This last
Yeah,
season,
I went to
so
6 at Chrysler Center.
That's sick.
Those
They
were
had a really
fun.
good team too.
They
so
did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah. Any like you said, so you have Purdue, Illinois. That'd be fun too. Like you're like being from Illinois. How far is Urbana-Champaign from Springfield?
Hour and a half.
Yeah.
Not far at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. And then isn't Abraham Lincoln from Springfield?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum. That is the number 1 tourist attraction of Springfield, Illinois.
Okay. Yeah. I know
Yeah.
it's the capital. It's like
Yeah.
the one thing I
Yeah.
remember. And then I know like there's a million Springfields, but always people
Yeah.
like associate that with like The Simpsons. I feel like too.
I mean, I don't want to say we because I'm still from there, so I still have some, like, even though I'm an adopted Detroiter,
no,
like
I
I'm
hear
still
you.
native Springfield. We like to believe that it's based off of Springfield, Illinois.
Yeah.
I think we have the best Springfield.
I hear you too, man. Like
Yeah.
I adopt Detroit, but like if you talk about Jackson, like that's my hometown.
Sure,
Like, yeah, so,
sure,
like,
yeah,
I hear you. It's
yeah.
like, yeah, you this is where you live, but that's
Yeah,
where you're from.
yeah.
So, like, yeah. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting place. What's something about Illinois you think people hate on too much? Like an underrated part of the state of Illinois.
I would say anything that's not Chicago probably gets hated on a little bit too much. There's a lot of really cool smaller towns, like Champaign, Urbana is a really cool college town. I think Springfield's got a lot worth visiting. They've got a lot of rural areas, like the stereotype is there's a lot of corn and like flatland, but I think it's charming personally. I grew up with it because a lot of, like, I'll give you an example. The drive, because where I'm from is Springfield, Illinois. Where I went to college, university, is Macomb, Illinois, Western Illinois University. Western Illinois University, Macomb, is kind of in the middle of nowhere. And the drive from Springfield to Macomb, it's an hour and a half, but it's just through like these tiny little towns, cornfields, small towns, villages, cornfields. I don't know. I like that. I think there's something really charming about it.
No, I get that. I mean, the
Yeah.
way you describe it kind of sounds like kind of the communities that like I more or less grew up in. They're very small.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had like, they're like 55-mile-an-hour state highways until you got into town.
Yes.
And it like slowed down for
Oh, yeah.
like a mile. You're going 25 through like the little village,
Yeah.
and then just right back up to 55.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally get it. It's really cool. And yeah, I mean, I've been to Chicago one time, and I've drove through Illinois one time. I know what you're talking about with all the corn, but I definitely feel like It's a very easy place to hate on outside of Chicago.
Sure.
Same with Ohio too. I always like to stick up for Ohio because I think it's a very underrated state. They have a fantastic economy down there.
I mean, you've looked back at the tape. You've never heard me just like unsolicitedly take a shot at the state of Ohio,
Right.
and a lot of people do at this
Right,
network.
yeah, and that's the thing, yeah, and like,
Yeah.
and I made the joke before, like, because you guys, a lot of Michigan fans here.
Yeah.
I went to Central Michigan. I was a big MSU guy all my life. They told me the day before I turned 18, you are not good enough to go to our school, and I took that so personally. I like double middle fingers up to MSU, man.
Shout out, yeah.
I can't go full turncoat and be like, oh, go blue. I love U of M. I just, I rock with my CMU Chippewas, but yeah, I mean, I'd like the way everybody else just likes to dogpile on Ohio State. I'm just like, I feel like whatever the kid's name in the boy in the striped pajamas, like Ohio State's like Shmuel. Like, I don't hate you. Like, this ain't my war. Like, I got no beef with you, man. Like, I actually have a positive memory from Ohio State. I got hit by a semi truck on the way to school on January 12th, 2015. Might have been 2016 and 2015. And I remember that because it was the day of the college football national championship.
Oh,
game.
and they won.
And they beat Oregon.
Yeah.
And I was a huge Jameis Winston guy. I blame Dalvin Cook for those fumbles. That's the reason they lost. They would have came back and beat Oregon. I fully believe that.
Okay.
But I loved Jameis, and so I was all in on FSU, go undefeated in college, win multiple championships, go into the NFL #1 draft pick. And so I'm still on the Jameis hype train. But when they lost to Oregon, I was pissed. And then I thought it was so funny that the third string quarterback for Ohio State just beat Alabama, who were the #1 ranked team.
Yeah.
And like Ohio State made it in as the 4 seed. Like, honestly, people didn't think they would make it in, but they crushed Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game. And then Cardale Jones 12 gauge, Ezekiel Elliott puts on a show. I was like, fuck it, I don't like Oregon. I was pissed Marcus Mariota won. I wanted Ohio State to beat Oregon in that championship game, and I sat at home like from school that day and the next day. And so like I was just like had nothing to look forward to but that football game and watching the highlights to it as I was just like sitting there like upset that my car just got totaled and shit. And yeah, so I was like, yeah, I mean, they were kind of like the one silver lining, in that gloomy day from like when I got hit by a semi truck. So
Well, I'm happy you had that experience because I could not hate more that they won that title. But
that's fair.
I'm
enough,
a Michigan
yeah.
fan, so yeah.
That's very
yeah.
fair. I mean,
But Ezekiel Elliott at Ohio State struck more fear into me than any Ohio State running back before or since. Just one of the best college running backs I've ever seen.
Yeah. And hey, to share my hatred as well, like nothing pisses me off quite like that Western Michigan National Championship in hockey. CMU doesn't even have a D1 hockey team. But if we did, we'd be better than them. I know it. It just pisses me off that they get to run around saying, we're the champs, we're the champs.
Oh, man. So that was a thing at this network that was pretty much universally like a positive thing, except for you.
Yes,
Yeah,
I sat there quietly stewing, and every time I get the chance, I take my shots at Western.
Go. Hey,
So.
that's your rival.
Hell yeah. But we got our guy JB in here. I appreciate you coming on today, Sam.
Of course.
You're welcome back anytime. Just like
Thank
I
you.
told my guy JB, he's welcome on anytime. But this will wrap up. I don't know if this is episode 16 or 15 or whatever, but this has been another episode of the Chase Lounge. We'll see you alligators later.